buenos días, or buenas tardes, or buenas noches, depending on when you're watching this video. Today we're going to learn about el alfabeto y los números en español, a quick and important lesson on the alphabet and numbers. The learning objectives for this lesson are that you can say the alphabet in Spanish, ask and answer the questions, ¿Cómo se escribe tu nombre? ¿Cómo se escribe tu apellido? ¿Cómo se escribe el nombre de tu amigo, tu esposo, tu mamá, or whoever? Say the numbers from 0 to 30 in Spanish. Define the verb I. Ask or use I to identify the number of objects. And ask and answer the question, ¿Cuántos años tienes? Okay, let's get started. Here is el alfabeto en español. It looks a lot like the English alphabet. There are a few extra letters, like this one here is the Ch. Over here is the doble L, or eye, as we learned in the first video. Two L's make a Y sound. Ñe and doble R, which sounds like this, R. And if you can't roll your R's, it's okay. Just do your best. So the alphabet in Spanish lately has been going under some changes, and they've actually recently taken out these extra letters that are the two letters put together, like the che, eye, and r. And depending on who you talk to and who your Spanish teacher is, they may teach the alphabet a little bit differently. I still teach the alphabet with the extra letters in it because that's how I learned it, and I do feel it's important to talk about the different sounds that the letters make. So here's how it sounds. A, B, C, Ch, D, E, F. G, H, I, J, K, L, Y, M, N, Ñe, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Now notice that B and B make exactly the same sound. And that is somewhat regional, depending on who you're speaking with and where they're from in the world. Sometimes the B and the V can have exactly the same sound, and sometimes the B and the V can be a little bit different, like V and B. And also, this Y is called Y, which means Greek Y. And the two that I think most people get confused about most often are G and H, because G, the G, makes the soft sound. H is actually a silent letter in Spanish. Oops. Like the word hola starts with an H, but we don't say hola, or at least I hope you don't. You say hola. So actually H is actually the only silent letter in Spanish. The other thing I wanted to point out are the vowels. A, E, I, O, U. Now the vowels in Spanish always make exactly the same sound no matter where they are in the word. A always says A, I always says E, I always says I, O always says O, and U always says U. And so when it comes to reading and knowing how to pronounce the words, it's actually a lot easier than English because our vowels in English can make a lot of different sounds. You know, A can say A, O, E. So as long as you learn the vowels and their pronunciations, A, E, I, O, U, you'll always know how to pronounce a word when you read it. So, for example, el alfabeto follows that rule. I says el, alfabeto. So, I don't know, it's a little bit easier that way. So, when using the letters, a lot of my students ask me why I don't spend more time on the alphabet. And it's something I always do, and I spend usually one day on it, and all you ever really need it for is when you're spelling something out, or it helps you with pronunciation. So the question that we're going to use the letters for is ¿Cómo se escribe tu nombre? ¿Cómo se escribe tu nombre means how do you spell your name? So I want you to practice spelling your name, pronouncing correctly the letters in Spanish. For example, I would answer, ¿Cómo se escribe tu nombre? Like this. A-M-Y. That's A-M-Y. The next question, ¿Cómo se escribe tu apellido? That's how do you spell your last name? And that might be a little bit longer, a little bit more difficult, so maybe you should practice. ¿Cómo se escribe tu nombre? ¿Cómo se escribe tu apellido? I would answer C-A-R-I-L-O. I have two special letters in my last name. I have the doble R and the doble L. C-A-R-I-L-O. The last question, ¿Cómo se escribe el nombre de tu amigo? How do you spell your friend's name? Or if you're married, ¿Cómo se escribe el nombre de tu esposo? That's your spouse. Mamá, your mom, or somebody else. So be prepared to answer these questions when we meet in Language Lab. Next we have los números. Most of you probably are at least familiar with some of the numbers in Spanish. Most people learn 1 through 10 by watching Sesame Street or whatever cartoon you may have watched as a child. But I will go over them with you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these are the most important 9 because these continue to repeat just like they do in English. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 31, 32, and so on and so forth. So the same thing happens in Spanish. So first, make sure that you have these first 9 or 10 down. Then we have 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. These are the ones that they're like the outliers, the ones that really don't fit the pattern. After that, we start adding 10 and 6, 10 and 7, 10 and 8, 10 and 9. 16, 17, 18, 19. And finally, we have 20. 20 is 20. Once you get to 20, you start adding, like I said, the numbers 1 through 9 to the number 20. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. 30 is 30. To keep going from 30, as you could probably figure out, you're just going to add the numbers 1 through 9 to 30. 31, 32, and so on and so forth. So using the numbers, we're going to use them a lot when we talk about the date and the time. But the question I want you to be able to answer right now is ¿Cuántos años tienes? ¿Cuántos años tienes asks how old are you? To answer it, you say yo tengo, and then you put the number años. So if your age is 0 to 30, you can use one of the numbers from the previous slide. Or if it's in the 30s, you can do like I said and add 30 with one of the numbers. And if it's higher than that, you can email me and I'll tell you the numbers higher or find them online so that when I talk to you in Language Lab, you can answer the question, ¿Cuántos años tienes? Hopefully, nobody is embarrassed of their age. I'll answer it. Yo tengo 33 años. I am 33 years old. So just a note, tener años is an idiom that really means to have a number of years. The verb tener means to have, and we're going to talk about that verb later on in the course. But I don't want you to get confused thinking that ¿Cuántos años tienes? Means how old are you? How old are you is how we ask it in English. In Spanish, they ask, How many years do you have? And you answer with, I have a number of years. Let's talk about the verb I. It looks like hey, but it's not pronounced like hey. In Spanish, we pronounce it I. Remember, I was talking about the silent H. It's pronounced I, and it means there is or there are. It's kind of a funny verb because it doesn't change for singular or plural like it does in English. There is one car, there are two cars. In Spanish, you use the same word, I. So you might answer the question, ¿Cuántas personas hay? How many people are there? How many people are there in those pictures? To answer it, you would say, hay dos personas. Some more practice. ¿Cuántos estudiantes hay? Hay 4 estudiantes. ¿Cuántos carros hay? How many cars are there? Hay 3 carros. ¿Cuántos profesores hay? Hay 6 profesores. So, here is your chance to ask yourself what you learned from this lesson. Can you say the alphabet in Spanish? Can you spell your first and last name? Can you ask, how do you spell your name? How do you spell your last name? Can you count from 0 to 30 in Spanish? Can you ask and answer, how old are you? Can you define the verb I? Can you use I to identify the number of nouns? If so, felicidades! Congratulations, you've completed this lesson. Adios!